Today we are going to learn Objective 34. We are going to solve word problems using systems of equations. So let's label this example 1. And I'll tell you, if you're listening to me, you don't necessarily have to write every word down here, because I know what you're thinking. Man, I got to copy all this down. You don't have to. You can paraphrase. So this is going to be example 1. All right, so let's read it. The senior classes at High School A and High School B planned separate trips to the county fair. The senior class at High School A rented and filled 7 vans and 6 buses with 294 students. High School B rented and filled 14 vans and 7 buses with 448 students. Every van had the same number of students in it as did the buses. Find the number of students in each van and each bus. So let's talk about it. Okay, let's first look at the first sentence. The senior classes at High School A and High School B planned separate trips to the county fair. How does that help us? It doesn't. So what can I do with the first sentence? I can pretty much blah, 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 blah. That's just extra information that we do not need. Okay, let's go to the second sentence. The senior class at High School A rented and filled 7 vans and 6 buses with 294 students. Well, the first thing we're going to do, first of all, how do I know I'm going to be setting up 2 equations? I should see 2 variables up there. I see vans and I see buses. So I'm going to tell you right now, for every variable, you will have an equation. If you only have 1 variable, then that means you're going to be setting up 1 equation. If you have 2 variables, you would be setting up 2 equations. If you had 3 variables, you would be setting up 3 equations. So, because I'm comparing vans and buses, I know that I need to set up 2 equations. So that to me tells me I need a system. So step 1, I need to define my variables. I need to pick out my variables. And you can use whatever you want. You can use A and B. You can use X and Y. You can use V and B. It does not matter what you use. Okay? So I'm going to use X and Y. I'm going to say X is our vans and Y is our buses. Okay, that's very important. It's to pick out your variables. Let me know what variables you're going to use. So for each sentence, you're going to set up 1 equation. So how would I set up 7 vans and 6 buses to equal 294? So let's say 7x, because that's our vans, 7 vans, 7 x's, plus 6 buses, which would be 6y, that is going to equal 294 total. Let's go to the second sentence. High School B rented and filled 14 vans and 7 buses to equal 448 students. How would we set that up as an equation? We would say 14x plus 7y equals 448. Very good, Chance. You're being a good student. So, right now we have a system. So you can solve it however you want. If you wanted to, you could put it into y equals, and you could put it into your calculator, and you could find the intersection. I will tell you, hint, 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 if you're going to use that method, you may have to play with your zoom, because if you don't see the intersection, you may have to zoom out in order for your calculator to go get the intersection. Okay, I'm going to solve this by elimination because I feel like that's how most of you want to do it. And I'm going to times the top one by -2. So -2 times 7x is -14x. -2 times 6y is -12y. -2 times 294 is -588. When I add them together, these cancel. This gives me -5y. And this gives me -140. So then I'm going to divide by -5 on both sides. And y is going to equal 28. So that tells me that there are 28 students in each bus because y is my buses. So there's 28 students in each bus. Okay? How can I figure out how many are in each van? All right, so to find out how many students are in each van, I just need to plug it in, plug it in. So I can do, I'm going to plug it into the top one. So 7x, I'm going to do it in yellow. 7x plus 6 times 28. Make sure you get it plugged in for the correct variable. It's 294. And then 6 times 28 is 168. So I'm going to subtract 168 from both sides. So 294 minus 168. 7x is equal to 126. So when I divide by 7 on both sides, x is equal to 18. And so we have 18 students in each van. Do make sure, does it make sense to you that 28 students could be on a bus? Yes, it does. So make sure it's like, what if you came out with a negative? Would that make sense to us if we got a negative answer? Can you have a negative amount of students? No, you can't have a negative amount of students. So make sure that your answer makes logical sense. All right, so let's look at number 2. The sum of two numbers is 36. Their difference is 6. Find the two numbers. So, how do I know that I'm setting up a system? Because I'm comparing two numbers. For every variable, you'll have an equation. So if I'm comparing two numbers, that means let's use, I don't know, A and B this time. Let's say that A is the first number and B is the second number. So let's take each piece. The sum of two numbers is 36. How would we write that? What's sum mean? So I'm going to add A plus B, and that's going to equal 36. And then we're going to say their difference is 6. So what's difference in math mean? So A minus B is equal to 6, because the difference is 6. So now I'm going to add them together. So I'm going to give you a second to work on this. So I caution you, don't forget to hit the play button or the pause button if you need to hit the pause button and work this out. But I caution you because we know that positive A and negative B cancel if I eliminate. But what is A plus A? Some people think A plus A is equal to A. But what do we think A plus A is? 1A plus 1A is equal to 2A. And 36 plus 6 is equal to 42. So when I divide by 2 on both sides, A is equal to 21. Am I finished? No, I got to figure out what B is. So I'm going to plug it in, plug it in. So I'm going to plug it in a different color. I'm going to choose the top one. So A plus B is equal to 36. So 21 plus B is equal to 36. And if I solve, B is equal to 15. So those are my two numbers, 21 and 15. And make sure your answer makes sense. It says that when you add 21 and 15, the sum is 36. So when you add 21 and 15, that makes sense. That gives you 36. And when you subtract 21 and 15, you get 6. Example 3. The school that Sarah Wong goes to is selling tickets to a spring musical. On the first day, ticket sales, the school sold 2 senior citizen tickets and 3 student tickets for a total of $58. The school took in $184 on the second day by selling 11 senior citizen tickets and 3 student tickets. What is the price of 1 senior citizen ticket and 1 student ticket? So immediately, I know I'm setting up a system because I'm comparing 2 things. What 2 things are we comparing? I'm comparing senior citizen tickets and student tickets. So I need to pick out my variables. So I'm going to pick out X for senior citizen tickets and Y for student tickets. So what I'd like for you to do right now, I want you to hit the pause button, and I want you to go ahead and set it up and see what you think. So someone take a minute and hit the pause button and let you try it on your own. So hopefully you've tried it on your own now. I'm going to first say that if I look at my first sentence, the school that Sarah Wong goes to is selling tickets for the spring musical. Blah, 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 blah. That's just extra. You don't need that. Let's look at the next sentence. On the first day of tickets, the school sold 2 senior citizen tickets and 3 student tickets for a total of $58. How would you set that up into an equation? 2 senior citizen tickets would be 2x, because x is your senior citizens, plus 3y equals altogether they took in $58. Okay? If the next sentence said they took in $184 by selling 11 senior citizen tickets and 3 student tickets, how would we set that up? 11x plus 3y is equal to 184. Now you can choose how you solve. I'm going to continue to solve with elimination just because I feel like that's what most of my students want to do. But if you wanted to Could you go to y equals and put it in your calculator? Could you substitute? Yes. But we are going to eliminate. I could eliminate if I had opposite signs. So I'm going to multiply the top one by -1, and I'm going to change. So now I'm working with the two bottom ones. So that will make 9x equals 126. And if I divide by 9 on both sides, x comes out to equal 14. Now we need to understand what that means. 14 what? That is the cost. So please make sure you include. So senior citizen tickets, I didn't spell tickets right, are $14. And then you're going to plug back in to figure out your student tickets. So make sure you plug back in for x. So 2 times 14 plus 3y is equal to 58. So 28 plus 3y is equal to 58. So 3y is equal to 30. So when you divide by 3, oh no, it's going to erase. Okay, I'm going to click something really quickly before I go to the next one because it's going to erase all my writing. Sorry about that. But your y comes out to be 10. So your student tickets are $10. And that makes sense to us. Again, could you have a negative? No, that would not make sense. That would be them paying us to come see the play. So that would not make sense. So, you know, make sure that your answers do make logical sense when you get it. All right, so let's click back onto this. Okay, so I want you to try this one on your own. I think you can do it by now. So hit the pause button and try this on your own. Okay, so hopefully you have hit the pause button. Stefan and Shira have improved their yards by planting rose bushes and ornamental grass. So again, I know that I'm comparing two things. What two things are we comparing? We're comparing rose bushes and ornamental grass. So I need to pick out a variable. So I'm going to do this just to show you that you can do this. If I don't want to use x and y, I don't have to use x and y. If I wanted to, I could use an R for rose bushes. And you could use an O, but I'd be careful about using an O. I might use a G for grass, for ornamental grass. O's kind of look like zeros sometimes. So, Stefan bought 10 rose bushes and 14 bunches of ornamental grass and spent $220. So how can we write that as an equation? 10R plus 14G equals 220. Shira spent $124 on 8 rose bushes and 6 bunches, so 8R plus 6G equals $124. Okay, and so now you can solve. I'm going to make 40 with the R's. So I'm going to times this one by 4, and I'm going to times this one by 5, and one of them needs to be by negative, so I'm just going to do the -5. So this will make 40R plus 56G equals 880. Over here, this will be -40R and -30G and negative 620. I can add them together, and this will be 26G equals 260. So when I divide by 26, G is equal to 10. So the ornamental grass is 10. 10 what? It is $10. So again, if you don't put a dollar sign on there, $10 for the ornamental grass. Then I will take off points because I want you to make sure that you make it logical, make it make sense, apply it to real world. Okay? To figure out the rose bush, I'm going to put it in a different color. We're going to plug back in. So 10R plus 14 times 10 equals 220. I'm using the original door number 1. So 10R plus 140 equals 220. Subtract 140 from both sides. So 10R equals 80. So that makes R 8. And so there's $8 for each rose bush. And again, that does make logical sense to us. So, last one. Try this one on your own. If you need to, hit the pause button. All right, Chance, read this out loud for me.
The school that Kaylee goes to is selling tickets to the annual dance competition. On the first day of ticket sales, the school sold 7 senior citizen tickets, 12 student tickets for the total of $137. The school took in 174 on the second day by selling 14 senior citizen tickets and 4 student tickets. Find the price of a senior citizen ticket and the price of a student ticket.
Okay, so here we go. How do I know I need 2 equations? Because I'm comparing 2 things. So what am I comparing? I'm going to use, what use? How about X and Y? X is going to be my senior citizen tickets. And Y is going to be my student tickets. So, on the first day, we sold 7 senior citizen tickets and 12 student tickets for a total of $137. So how would I write that in an equation? I would say 7x plus 12y equals 137. Very good. And on the second day, we made $174 by selling 14 senior citizen tickets and 4 student tickets. So how would I write that? 14x equals, excellent. And then I'm going to eliminate. So I'm going to times, you could times the bottom one by -3, or I'm going to times the top one by -2. Either way, it would work. So -14x minus 24y equals -274. So when I add them together, those cancel, and I get -20y is equal to -100. And if I divide by -20 on both sides, y is equal to 5. So in this case, the student tickets were $5. Okay? To figure out what the senior citizen tickets would be, we just need to plug it in, plug it in. So I'm going to do door number 2. So 14x plus 4 times 5 is equal to 174. So 14x plus 20 is equal to 174. So 14x is equal to 154. And I'm going to divide by 14. And so x is equal to 11. So our senior citizen tickets are equal to $11. So there's your answer. Okay. So in record time, we are finished. Thank you very much.